I'm Becky, one of our science educators at the museum, and I have my special science helper extraordinaire,
me again.
MJ. She's always here, and we thought we would take a chance to celebrate Earth Day and show you how to make your own paper.
And the old stuff you don't need anymore.
Exactly.
So like old worksheets, notes that you don't want.
Exactly. So this is a bucket of old notes from me, a few worksheets from MJ, and we are demonstrating this because what we're going to show you is how recycling happens. So what we're going to show you today is what happens when you put your paper or your cardboard into the recycling bin and it gets repurposed and reused. So we're going to show you how to do that. So what you need for supplies, and I will tell you, this is a messy process, and it also there is some prep. So if you're struggling to follow along with us today, definitely come back, maybe get your supplies and watch us again for sure. So things you're going to need.
One more thing you need to know. If you do not want to totally destroy your emulsion blender or something, do not do this.
Exactly. So yeah, we're using one of our kitchen tools, our immersion blender, but you can use a food processor, you can use an old egg beater, but we'll talk through that. So things you need: a bunch of old paper, and we shredded our paper and have it soaking. We'll talk more about that in a second. You need some sort of a screen. What we did is I took an old picture frame and I hot glued screen to it. And by
the way, you do not want to use like tilt from like a little skirt. You do not want to use that. It's way too stretchy.
Yeah, we did learn some materials will stretch than others. So something that's not too stretchy is best. And then you're also going to need a bunch of towels and a shallow pan that you can use to make the paper. So,
but if you don't have a shallow pan, you don't necessarily need
it. You need to be able to get your frame into it. So shallow-ish works best. So let's get started. The first thing we did early this morning is just hold on. We're not quite there yet. The first thing we did is we shredded paper, and we just tore it into chunks. So this is what it looked like before we started. And
then we added water and then shredded it some more.
Exactly. So then we let it sit in the water. And you can probably see from the picture, this is just old notes. This is mostly copy paper. You can add some construction paper in here. You could add tissue paper.
You can add whatever you want.
Exactly. I just wouldn't recommend anything thicker than construction paper because it takes a long time for it to soak. And the point, what we want to do is, the reason we're soaking it is we want to soften all the fibers. So paper is made from wood fibers. And so by soaking it.
Oh, by the way, you can actually put like cardstock, I think, in there. I did last time.
Yeah. I just wouldn't recommend a lot of cardstock because it gets it, kind of thick.
Yeah. So you don't want a lot.
Yeah, so, and I recommend warm water. It just helps to soften your fibers. So,
and it just feels really nice.
And it feels really good. So what we've done, we've let it sit for an hour or so, and you can come in and you can keep shredding it. We want to get this as fine as we can. So once you've let it sit, dig your hands in, get it nice and fine. You want to help me get shred up some of the big pieces?
And then you need to use your emulsion blender or whatever you might use. We're using our emulsion blender.
Yeah.
I promise, Dad, we will get you a new one because we are totally destroying the one you have, and I still want your whipped cream.
Well, actually, it does. If you don't do a ton, and if your paper's really soft, you won't really hurt your blender too much. But yeah, we did promise Dad that if we destroyed his blender, we can. So, are you ready to blend?
Because I still really like my Dad's whipped cream.
It is really amazing. So you want to make sure you get your pieces pretty small before you add the blender. So we're gonna, and definitely adult supervision.
And if you're really small, just have your parents do this.
Yeah. All right. So can we stop for a second? All right. Whoa. Yeah. Don't lift it out. This is definitely something that adults should be around for. You got to follow all your safety precautions that you would use with any sort of sharp blender. So what we've done is we've gotten to so it's the consistency of oatmeal. And actually, I think we're going to blend it. I'm going to blend it just a little bit more. A couple big pieces. You want to make sure you get, like, we have some big pieces like this. We want to make sure that we get all those. So yeah, let me get my hands. Wait till you get it in there. Turn it on. Keep it in there. All right.
And sucking me to the bottom.
All right, we'll do this together. All right, I think that's good.
It's like a gray color.
Yep. So we had a lot of white paper in here, which is why it's really gray. So I'm just going to set this off to the side. And so now, like I said, we have this oatmeal consistency, which is exactly what we want. So we've broken up all of these fibers. So the next thing we're going to do, and if you notice today, we have an old towel on our table, which is a requirement.
But secretly.
Yeah. But it's really important to make sure that you cover your space with appropriate protection. So now what we're going to do is we have a shallower pan, and this is so that we can put our frame in. So I'm going to take this big bucket.
But if you have a big enough pan, you don't need this.
And I'm going to lift up some of the pulp. You want to make sure you have, quite a bit of pulp in there. And you can see it kind of slappy, looks like oatmeal. And
Mom told me that I'm really smart yesterday because we started out with one recipe and then we ended up going completely different.
Yeah, so we started out with one method, and then I'm handing this off to our off-camera assistant. We started out with one method, and then with some experimentation, Mary Jane figured out a good way to do this. So now we have our, hang on, we're going to talk about this just 1 second. I'm going to demonstrate real quick. I know this is super fun, so Mary Jane's super excited to get her hands on this. I need to explain what I did here. Okay. So what this is I took an old picture frame, and this is the front side, and we have a close-up of this. I just hot glued a piece of netting that I found we found this piece of netting. We hot glued it, and to what we consider the front of the frame, we are going to use the back side where we have the space for the picture. That's going to help hold our paper together. So that's a little bit, and that's what Mary Jane figured out, is if we put the screen on the back, but on the front, and we use the back as to hold our paper, it works really well. So before we start, I'm going to grab some more towels. You're going to go through towels on this project. So now.
Yeah, you have a really stuffed on washing machine, unless you don't have one, so you're going to be washing
a lot of towels. Okay. So now we get to make the paper. So what we're going to do.
It looks kind of weird.
It does look, it's really strange. It's really strange. So Mary Jane's going to demonstrate. You want to.
Yeah, you can also put tissue paper or something like that.
Yep. There we go. So what we've done is we've slid the frame in.
And then you just pick it up.
So now you pick it up, and you want to keep it over your pan. You can see the water dripping out.
That's why it's mosquito netting.
And so what we learned is that if you use that frame, the inside of that frame to contain your paper,
feels really good.
And we're just going to get off the extra. And thicker paper is going to take longer to dry, so you can always pull up some of the thinner paper, just pull up some of the pulp. I was just demonstrating how to do that. Yep. And if you get a hole, that's okay. And you can see while we're talking, what we're doing is we're just gently pressing.
I'm going to squish that.
And we're just trying to get out as much of the water. Now it's still pretty soupy, so we're going to actually tip it up so people can see. I realized. So now you can see what we've done.
Sand, kind of.
It does look like sand. So now you can.
Sand.
So now you can see what we've done. We've just been pressing on it. We want to get out even more water. So can you just hold that for a second?
I have an idea.
Well, hang on. You just hold it. We're going to demonstrate the towel method here.
Okay,
so what we've done.
I'll just keep squishing the water out.
What I've done is we have kitchen towel that I folded a couple times. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the towel, put it right over our paper, and we're going to squish. You can do this on a pan if you want to collect the water. I have this old towel, so I can just press it into the towel. And what we're doing is we are blotting it, so trying to get as much of the water out as we can.
And then
I think it's probably pretty good.
And then another thing I figured out is you flip it over and you actually just you don't try to peel it off. You actually flip it over and just tap it.
So what
looks like cement actually.
So what we've done is we've blotted as much as we can into this towel. And this is the part that Mary Jane figured out. I was trying to peel it up. We figured out if we flip it over,
you can just
sort of gently tap.
You can just tap it like you would if you're bored like that.
And then
Voila!
voila, we have a piece of paper. And I'm in an,
Can I hold it?
we're gonna let MJ hold it up. It's pretty fragile. So what,
Because it's wet.
because it's wet. So what you want to do at this point is you want to make sure that you let it dry.
Or if you just don't want to, you can use like a straightening iron or a regular iron.
Well, one of the ways to sort of speed up the drying process and also smooth it out, and this is something that only adults should do because you're using something that's a little damp and water.
Well, I
Mary Jane,
with it.
You helped me by watching, but this is something that adults should do, is you can take a dry towel, put it over your paper, and then on a low iron, and I want to emphasize the low part, just gently press, and that will release some of the water. It also smooth out your paper. So we have some samples that we made before, and you'll notice, and those are dry. I'm going to lift those up. You'll find them here. You'll notice that one of the things we did on this paper is that we put tissue paper down on the frame.
And that one is actually really cuckoo bananas because I found out the method to use this part after we made those two.
But one thing you can do is you can also, after you have your paper that it's come out, what you can do is we have some more tissue paper. You can tear off a piece, and while it's still wet,
you can flatten it down and make a cool nice one. Can you put?
You want another piece?
Yeah, I want to make.
Okay.
So I want to make a little piece of paper.
So you can just press the tissue paper right inside of there. MJ wants to add a little bit more.
I'm gonna add a bunch.
So we're gonna actually stop. You can keep making paper in just a second.
I'm just going to add a little bit.
Okay, one more piece. Okay, that's good. That's good. We're gonna keep moving here. So what we're gonna do now is we will just let this sit and dry. It'll take a solid 24 hours for your paper to dry. The thicker it is, the longer it will. So to make a thinner piece of paper, so we showed you this process. So for those who are just joining us, we have our paper that's gone through the blender. It's been so what you can do to make thinner paper is once you've knocked off, and I can show you guys a little bit better if I tilt it. Once you've knocked off a bunch of your pulp, what you can do is just pick off some of the pulp. And Mary Jane, I'm demonstrating how to make thinner paper
I know, but you're also making holes in it.
Well, that's okay, but we can fix those holes pretty easily. So, like I said, you can make thinner paper by just using a little bit less pulp. You can take some off and pressing it there. So this is a really fun project. It does get messy, so if you can do it outside, I'd recommend it. And we're gonna let our paper dry, and then we'll probably use it to make some cards, some artwork, whatever you'd like. And we look forward to seeing your paper creations. Please share them with us using the hashtag TCM at home.